Hey McGinn, welcome back. It's Mr. Lohn. We are on to our next read aloud, and I'm always glad to be with you to share in books. I'm coming today from Miss Muda's room down in 106. Something going on in the library, so they are kind enough to give me a little space to read with you. We're going to do a book today by Lynn Cox. It is called Elizabeth, Queen of the Seas. And here we go. There once was a lovely elephant seal who lived in the city. Most elephant seals lived in the ocean, in salt water. They sleep on rocky coasts and lie along sandy beaches. But this seal was different. She swam in the sweet, shallow waters of the Avon River, where it flowed through the heart of the city in Christchurch, New Zealand. When the seal grew tired, she pulled herself onto the shore with her front flippers, then hauled her back flippers up behind her. Moving up the soft shore like a giant inchworm, she'd stretch herself out on the long, cool grass and take a nap in the bright sunshine. And when she got hot, she'd use her flippers to toss huge clumps of cold, wet mud onto her back. The seal's coat was silvery brown. She was 8 feet long as a long surfboard, and she weighed 1,200 pounds, as much as 15 Labrador retrievers. The people of Christchurch knew there was something very special about her. She was strong and powerful and regal, like Elizabeth, the Queen of England. And so they named her Elizabeth, Queen of the Seas. There was one small boy named Michael who looked for the elephant seal every day on his way to school and again on his way home. Even on weekends, he walked beside the slow, swaying waters, hoping to spot Elizabeth's head bobbing above the current or see her body resting on the riverbank. Though Michael knew never to get too close to her, after all, she was a wild animal, he liked to call out her name. Elizabeth! Hello, Elizabeth! Queen of the Seas! Are you there? And if Elizabeth was near, she'd turn and look at Michael with her dark brown eyes, snort once to clear the water from her nostrils, and once again, as if to say, hello. Early one morning when the grass was still wet, Elizabeth hauled herself up to the top of the riverbank and stretched out across the 2-lane road. Maybe she liked the feel of the warm firmness under her belly, or maybe it was the sunshine fanning out across her back. But whatever it was, she decided to stay. Suddenly there was a screeching of brakes. Elizabeth moved forward as quickly as a 1,200-pound animal with flippers for legs can. Bang! The car hit a rock and dented its fender. Elizabeth threw herself across the road. Another screech. A second car just missed running over her back flippers. Elizabeth, Queen of the Seas, slid down the riverbank and belly flopped into the water. Elizabeth escapes death by a flipper's breath, the Christchurch newspaper proclaimed the next day. All over town, people were talking. Some were afraid Elizabeth would climb into the road again and be hit by a car. Others worried that she'd cause a terrible accident when cars swerved to avoid her. They decided that maybe it would be better for Elizabeth to live with other elephant seals. If she lived far away from the city, she wouldn't be a danger to anyone. So one day a group of volunteers in a small motorboat waited until Elizabeth was in the river, then approached her slowly and gently looped a rope around her large body. As they towed Elizabeth down the Avon River, a boy watched from the bridge. "Don't take my elephant seal away," Michael cried. "This is where she belongs." But the boat went on, towing Elizabeth out past the silty brownish-green river mouth into the cold, dark ocean. At last the boat reached a sandy beach where other elephant seals lived. There the crew set her free. Before Elizabeth, hundreds of elephant seals lay squished together. Huge males, 3 times the size of the females, were roaring, bellowing, and belching. Mother seals called to their babies with squeaks and squawks and whimpers, and babies squeaked back. Maybe it was because the beach was too crowded and noisy. Maybe she missed Christchurch. Or maybe there was some other reason that we can never know. But Elizabeth chose not to stay. Instead, the Queen of the Seas turned around and made herself as streamlined as possible, tucking her front flippers close into her sides so that she could move swiftly through the water. Back across the cold open ocean she swam, and into the sweet warm Avon River. Still on she swam, past the wispy willow trees that line the shore, until she reached her favorite sunbathing spot by the bridge. There she hauled herself out onto the riverbank and lay across the warm road. "Elizabeth, you're home!" Michael shouted. And Elizabeth lifted her big head, looked at him with her dark brown eyes, snorted loudly once, then snorted again. It wasn't long before people all over Christchurch were running down to the riverbank or jumping on their bicycles to see Elizabeth. The traffic safety officers called the boat crew, who caught Elizabeth yet again. This time they towed Elizabeth to a seal colony far, far away from the city. Each day Michael looked for his friend on the way to school and on his way home. Each day there was no one there to greet him. But then one day, miraculously, Elizabeth was back, looking up at Michael and snorting before pulling her great body out to sun herself along the road. When Elizabeth was taken away the next time, people thought they would never see her again. The boat towed Elizabeth hundreds of miles from Christchurch before letting her go. And as the seal pulled herself out of the ocean water onto some large rocks along the shore, the boat turned and headed back to Christchurch. A month passed. Michael and his friends rode their bikes and swam in the river. They explored, built forts, and lay in the wild fields outside Christchurch, reading great books, and always they watched for Elizabeth. A second month passed, and then almost a third. Michael watched the water, and he wished upon the stars. And then one warm summer morning, Elizabeth was back. There, in the water beneath the bridge, was the beautiful elephant seal, who weighed as much as 15 Labrador retrievers. "Welcome home, Elizabeth," Michael shouted. Elizabeth looked at him with her dark brown eyes, snorted once, and once again. Michael ran to tell his friends, who told their families, who all came down to the spot on the bridge. Looking out into the sun-speckled water, they cried, "Welcome home, Queen of the Seas." The people of Christchurch loved Elizabeth, and so they decided to put up a sign on the road where she liked to sleep. It was bright yellow with large black letters on it that said, "Slow, Elephant Seal Crossing." To this day, townspeople wonder how Elizabeth managed to travel so far. They know she must have swum through huge waves and against strong currents. She must have swum tired, but still kept on swimming. She must even have swum while she slept, night after day after night. And they like to imagine that at last, when she reached the mouth of the Avon River, she swam upon a stream of moonlight until she reached the shore. There was once a lovely elephant seal who lived in the city, and that is exactly where she belonged. So boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed that nonfiction picture book. Just a great little feel-good story. Love the connections of the town and Elizabeth, especially of the boy Michael. Love how the seal knew where her home was. We'll be back with another read aloud tomorrow. McGinn, you're terrific. I'll see you soon.